What does the Buddha and you building a multi-million-dollar online coaching business have in common? The Buddha said that when compassion and emptiness are present, that enlightenment is unavoidable. Enlightenment is unavoidable. That's a pretty bold statement. I'm going to make my own bold statement right now. And that is when the right tactics, strategy, and execution are in place, that your business success is unavoidable. Now, when partners come to me to be able to build and scale and maybe even eventually sell their business, they come to me because they're really just wanting two things to be in place. They want to be able to do the right things, so the right strategies, and they want the sequencing right. They need to be able to do the right things in the right order. So right now in this episode, I want you to walk away with the understanding of how to use in your business right after this episode. That is the 6 key elements that I use with every single one of my partners' businesses to ensure that they're growing fast, and the founder is actually in their zone of genius and actually getting the fulfillment and joy as well. And so the best way for you to get the most value out of joining me in this episode is really going to be the case of think of this applying each and every step into your business. Now, also, if you're joining me on YouTube right now, fantastic. This is where I want you to be. If you're listening to me right now and you're on the podcast, I highly recommend that you jump over to YouTube because there are going to be some graphics, there are going to be some models that I'm going to be showing you that are really going to kind of like join the dots for you. It's going to make it a hell of a lot easier for you to understand and for therefore you to be able to apply as well. So this entire concept came together for me since selling my previous company. I sat down and I really wanted to learn what did I do wrong and what did I do right. And then it was really passing together and understanding what really worked and what didn't. But then I was able to layer on top of that all of the hundreds of other businesses that I've been able to help and see behind the scenes and look under the hood as to what's happening. I could see these recurring patterns right now. There was pattern recognition that started to come to me, and then I was able to really piece together and join this. So this is going to be a couple of concepts I want you to understand. And from a really easy concept, I saw there was 2 parts to a business. There is a getting and then there is a giving. There is a getting clients and then there is a giving the results to the clients. And I was like, right, my meathead of a brain, I can wrap my head around that. I understand that. So then there was these 2 different elements to what it is that needed to be inside of the business. But each of these getting and giving had 3 key elements that had to be applied for it to be able to work properly. So the 2 elements of your business is there is a front of the house, which is the getting the clients, and then there is the back of the house, which is the giving to the clients. But then there are 3 elements each for getting and giving. There's 6 elements in totality when it comes to once we have these in place, you have a business that is humming. You have a business that is able to grow, it's able to grow easily, and is able to grow without you having to feel like you're forcing and bleeding through the forehead every single day to be able to make that happen. And so when we think of the getting the clients first, my position, my thinking, my assumption was, okay, let's set this up in a way. I want to be able to give you the system that is able to be replicatable and duplicatable for you to be able to have clients coming in and making sales every day and every week. Think about that. Would you feel better if you had a replicatable, duplicatable process to get clients? I'm pretty sure the answer would be yes. So let's do that. And the way that we are able to do that is through 3 key processes that we have to have in place for that to happen. The first one is we need to be able to increase the lifetime profit of each client that comes in, okay? So every client that comes in right now, let's just say, for an example, you have a course and it's $1,000 course, right? So every client that comes on board, it's $1,000. The lifetime value of that client is $1,000 each. Okay, great. Let's use that example. Now what we want to be able to do is, well, how do we turn that one customer, that one client, that one sale, how do we get them to be worth $5,000, $10,000 plus over the course of the lifetime that they're with you? The second is we want to be able to decrease the cost per acquisition. So we want to be able to decrease how much it costs you in time, energy, and effort to be able to get that client coming on board, okay? So let's say, for example, that you're running ads and it costs you $500 in ads to be able to acquire a client that you're selling for $1,000, okay? So then that means you're actually left with $500 of margin post-acquisition to be able to then start the delivery. The delivery could eat up quite a bit of what is left over for you, only to actually have a small profit margin at the end. So now what we're doing, just by combining those two, if we can turn a $1,000 client into a $5,000 client, and we can turn cost per acquisition from $500 to, let's say, $250, well, now we have a margin that is, we're getting $5,000 for spending $250. That's already sounding really good. But there is a third element ensuring that we grow and scale this process. And that is then being able to increase your acquisition scalability. And what I mean by this, I don't want to be using too much marketing mumbo jumbo jargon, but essentially we want to be able to have the system set up so that you can take on board more clients without clogging up the system. A lot of coaches, a lot of experts, a lot of consultants have a process where really they can only be signing on 2, 5, maybe 10 clients a week. Now that might be the model that you want, but for us to be able to really grow and expand something and for that business to be able to flourish, if we're able to do the 3 things for the getting, which is the increasing the lifetime value, then decreasing the cost per acquisition, but then being able to scale to increase the scalability of acquisition so that you can go from maybe you're capped at signing 5 clients on per week because your delivery systems, the way that you coach just means you can't sign more than 20 people a month. What if we're able to turn that 20 people a month into 50 people a month? So then we've been able to go from, okay, you were selling a $1,000 thing to now being able to have a $5,000 lifetime value, then going from a $500 cost per acquisition to a $250 acquisition. So now the margin is gigantically more. But now if we can even just say double the amount of clients that you're able to sign on, well then now we've really created a flywheel effect for you to be able to grow. And so that is just the getting concept of it. Then we turn our attention to the giving, which is really, really important because a lot of people kind of glaze over this. And this is where I think we actually start with the giving and then we look at being able to have the getting in place as well. So the getting has the 3 elements, which is going to be how are you able to deliver world-class experience to your clients? Really understanding, putting yourself in the shoes of your potential clients and going, what is the absolute best solution that they're looking for to be able to solve their problem? How are you able to do it in the easiest, fastest, cheapest, most effective manner for them to be able to get that result? And what does that really look like? And then reverse engineering, how much responsibility do you actually want to be able to take on board to be able to achieve that? The second aspect of the actual giving is going to be the operations of the business. I call this Clockwork Operations. How do you have the actual operations of your organization, of your business, of your company set up in a way so it hums like clockwork? Now, this is quite literally if it's just you or if you have a team of 25 people to 100 people plus, it doesn't matter. It's the same processes that we need to start scaling out. You need to be able to have what it is that you do in a fashion so that you can be replicatable and duplicatable in what it is that you're doing for your clients and how the business is actually run, so that you can actually streamline what's happening so that you have less operational drag. Because we have less operational drag, now we have more bandwidth for the rest of the business to start to grow. But then it comes into really importantly, this is really what I want to talk to you as the business owner, as the founder, I call it founder flow. How do you, as the actual owner of the business, how do you get into flow? And really importantly, there's 3 aspects to this, which is number 1, how is it that you are in your zone of genius? Now, I'm sure that your mum was right and you are a special snowflake, but I'm also pretty confident to say as well that you shouldn't be wearing all of the hats in the business for you to be able to grow something that you really want to. Unless you want that one-man band feeling, which is totally fine. But again, this is something that we want to be able to streamline and scale out, even if it's just a little bit. But they're coming down to what's your zone of genius? What really should you be spending 80% of your time and attention into? And how does that best create a flywheel effect for your business to be able to grow with ease? Because then it comes down into what is the actual cadence of operations for your business, which is what's the cadence of what it is that you're supposed to be doing with communication when it comes to team members and when it comes to the outside world and when it comes to your clients as well. And so there becomes an operating system of the business. And then the third one is how do you ensure that you're getting meaning making out of the business as well? I maybe have a slightly controversial view on this, but I don't think that you should be running a business because it gives you all of the good feels of it as well. I think there are a lot of people out there that are just virtue signaling when they say, oh, I want my business to impact 1 million people. And they just throw a term, I want to impact 1 million people, or whatever the number is out there as well. I just don't subscribe to that. I think ideally what I want to be doing is I want a business to do what a business really should be doing, which is creating profits. I want an organism, I want a system to create profits, and therefore I can do good things from those profits as well. That's the nature of what I call a business is. And when I understand what the nature of something is, I can best make sure that there's an operational fit for it as well. So that's where I want to be able to combine you being in your zone of genius, being able to have some clear clockwork operations of how everything is running, and ensuring that you are having the right meaning making for you in your life, inside and outside of your business, and how that actually works as well. So there you have it. There is 6 key elements to what it is. That is what I really broke down into kind of like a Merkaba of a model of what a multi-million-dollar coaching business. And I want you to be able to apply this because you'll see a lot more of the trainings that are going to come out are going to be based on what this concept really is. Because I know this works. This works really goddamn well because I'm using it literally every single day behind the scenes with my partners' businesses. And for me, it's given me this sense of like, oh, this ease, this knowing, this peace of mind, because this system is how to be able to grow a successful business. And really happily, it gives my partners as well that breadth of relief and that certainty of understanding that the right things are getting done in the right sequencing. And so the business can naturally do what it wants to be able to do, and you can grow it to the way that you want to grow it so that you get the good feels, so that you get the profits, and so that you know at the end of every day when you put your head on your pillow that you've done good work, you're creating good things, you're leaving the world in a better place, and there is not this stress and grind and blood, sweat and tears that I don't believe has to be there as well. So I hope this has been really valuable. I'd love to know what you have most been able to take with this, because to make this really highly pragmatic and applicable for you, choose one of the 6 elements. Just choose one of the 6 elements that you think is missing and is the most leverage point for you to use right now. Go and use it and tell me how it is. And I really appreciate your time and attention, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.